I just wanted some sauce on those zingers.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I hope you're having an awesome day. A couple shameless plugs. First and foremost, make sure you subscribe to Review Tech USA. I upload content on a daily basis, and I stream on a fairly regular basis as well. Also, make sure to leave a like and a comment. It helps out in the algorithm. And also, I have an ASMR channel called Tech25 ASMR. I have a new video in the works. It should be up within the next 5 to 7 days, and I already have plenty of content up there already. So make sure you sub to Tech25 ASMR. I'll have a link to everything I mentioned below in the description and top pinned comment. So, baby, it's that time again. You were hoping that there would be some good news about RAM prices, right? But no, there is no good news, and it's going to get exponentially worse. But I just wanted to show you, like, if you were going to go into a Best Buy and you're like, I want to get some RAM. I want all the RAM in my hole. And you were like, I want to get 64 gigabytes. I want a future-proof. Well, let's take a look at Crucial. Now, Crucial is Micron's consumer memory division, which they are getting rid of because they want to focus on doing enterprise memory for AI data centers. I'm so tired of hearing about AI. I hate AI. I just want it to go away. So 32 gigabytes is $359. Just to give you an idea as to how bad that is, in August of 2025, you could get a 32 gigabyte RAM kit for like 80 to 130 something dollars. Just, it's insane how much more expensive RAM is right now. Now, let's go. Hey, you wanted 64 gigabytes? $700. You want a laptop RAM? You want a SODIMM memory? Let's take a look at that. 64 gigabytes, $629. You save a little bit of money if you're getting a SODIMM memory. You want 32 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance memory? It's going to be about $430. You're getting the point by now. RAM is out of control, and unfortunately, it's only going to get worse. So Samsung RAM prices have doubled, and you have to remember there's three big companies that are manufacturers of RAM. There's SK Hynix, there is Samsung, and there was Micron. Those are the three companies that made consumer memory. Micron is leaving the consumer RAM business to solely focus on enterprise AI data centers. So you're left with Samsung and SK Hynix. So one of the big three, there's only three, and a third is just, it's gone. Micron's not making consumer memory anymore. That's disastrous. This may be the beginning with how bad RAM prices are getting. This is what the Tech Radar article has to say. The PC hardware market is arguably in its worst state in years due to the ongoing memory crisis, leading to prices increasing nearly across the board, which I just showed. And with a troubling case from a popular manufacturer, consumers may fear the worst. The popular manufacturer is Samsung, and prices for its DRAM and SSDs have doubled or sometimes even tripled in the last 2 months. Not last year, not last 6 months, 2 months is how much we've seen RAM prices go up in that short period of time. In South Korea, according to the ELEC. This is reportedly due to Samsung's focus on producing memory for AI enterprises. Man, oh man, that AI bubble cannot burst soon enough. And yes, if it brings on a major recession, which it's going to happen anyway. I don't want to see a recession, but it's just like this financial circle jerk of money going around, and it's not sustainable anyway. And beyond that, unfortunately, I don't even think if the AI bubble bursts, it may bring prices back down anywhere near what they were before the AI RAM crisis that we see now. I think even if RAM prices do come back down, they're never going to go to the levels they were before. It's kind of like when gas prices skyrocketed back in 2008 and they came back down. Yeah, they came back down, but never to as low as they were before that big jump in gas price. Remember going to the pump and paying sometimes $5 a gallon or close to it back in 2008? Yeah. And then, oh, wow, gas prices have come back down. So you feel the relief, and they're going to do the same thing with RAM if it ever does come back down, like I said. you'll get the lower prices and it's like, oh, wow, this kit of RAM used to be $450, which was astronomical and insane. And then it'll go back down to like $275 for that 32 gigabyte kit. And you'll be like, oh man, thank God, it's so much cheaper. But is it really? You're still paying a crap ton more before this whole AI RAM crunch came to be. But you're just used to paying so much more that it feels like a relief. Mark my words, this is reportedly due to Samsung's focus on producing memory for AI enterprises, ultimately leading to a supply shortage for consumers, which sounds similar to Micron's approach in its push towards AI. Micron just completely got out of consumer memory. Rest in peace, Crucial. For example, a DDR5 RAM module was sold at 100,000 won in November, which is around $69. However, recently, the same Samsung RAM stick was sold for 400,000 won, or around $278. That's a 300% price increase for only 16 gigabytes of memory, which at that point is the bare minimum you should have in a PC, especially if you're doing like video editing or gaming. Like, I really think you should have 32 gigabytes in 2026, but do whatever you can afford. If you absolutely need RAM right now, it's better to have 16 gigabytes than no RAM whatsoever. Say your RAM stick's fried into your computer or one of your RAM sticks went bad. You got to do what you got to do. Just make sure you get it in dual channel. Don't just get one 16 gigabyte stick. Continuing, distributors are also buying both RAM and SSDs from Samsung at higher prices, which directly impacts consumer prices. And while this report focuses on the crisis in South Korea, where Samsung is based, it's not unreasonable to believe this will extend to other regions. Of course it will. Samsung is one of the big three RAM manufacturers. Of course it will. It's just common sense. And here we go. Again, if you're looking to get a new phone, I know Apple has come out recently and said they're going to be able to, at least for this year, weather the memory crunch storm because they have their stockpiles. But many of your other favorite devices, even if you're not into tech directly, or you're not a big PC gamer, or you're just not a nerd and you're not playing on consoles, you're still going to feel it. A Counterpoint research analyst, MS Wang, predicts that 30% of the total manufacturing cost for products will be on memory alone. 30%. It's still 20% away from half, but that is insane. If you said 3 years ago that 30% of the cost of a product would be on the RAM inside of it, I would have been like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? RAM is cheap. Not anymore, as reported by Tweaktown. If this estimate is correct, we could essentially see all hardware that uses memory skyrocket in price. And with the current state of affairs, where most manufacturers are pushing for a greater focus on AI, even though no one I know is actually excited about AI, it's not looking very positive for consumers in 2026 and beyond. I still feel this is what I'm going to predict for the future of PCs and tech and anything that uses memory. I still think that these AI data centers are more than for just AI, because I'm sure these companies are sitting there in board meetings and they're having discussions like, yeah, the AI bubble may burst, but then we could use these for cloud computing. We could force people by getting a home PC or getting local compute power, which is your own computer. We can make it unaffordable, and then they have to go to our subscription-based service, where you have to pay every month for the rest of your life, or yearly sometimes. Oh, you could get 30% off by paying for your cloud compute yearly. So I think Jeff Bezos just flat out came out and said that he thinks that local compute power is antiquated, and like we have an electrical grid now, and people don't just have their own like generator power sources, like the brewery he went to, which was a really old brewery. They showed how they had their own generator back in the day to improve their brewing process, and that's so outdated, and now electricity is on a grid, and that's essentially what's going to happen with computing. So it is in these corporations' best interest to dissuade you from being able to afford, or dissuade you from buying local compute power and making it be unaffordable to you, so you are beholden to them for essentially the rest of your life. When you had your own local computing power, I'm so tired of hearing how it's outdated. Jeff Bezos is saying it's outdated. It's not anywhere near outdated yet. So when you bought your own computer, you get 5 years of use out of it, if not more in some cases. Hell, I had my first gen Threadripper rig that I was using for till 2025 from 2017. Got my money's worth out of it tenfold, if not hell of a lot more. No more of that. Now you just have to continually pay. You can't just spend about $800 to $1,200 up front and have a good all-around computer that will do what you need it to do, including gaming. Nope. You got to just pay to be able to compute in the cloud, and if you don't want to, you're screwed. And the best case scenario I alluded to earlier on in this video is that, yeah, RAM prices may come back down when the AI bubble bursts, which could possibly put the US into a depression, a 2026 depression, or 2027, whenever the AI bubble bursts. But RAM prices they're going to still be increased permanently. They may go back down to, they may be even cut in half. But even if whatever the hell RAM prices are going to go to, Samsung's saying they're going to get exponentially worse this year. So say 32 gigabytes of RAM by the end of 2026 is going for $800. And when the AI bubble bursts, you're going to feel relieved spending $400 on that 32 gigabytes of RAM, because it's a hell of a lot better than 800, but it's still a hell of a lot more expensive at 400 than it was when it was $80 to $130. Like I said, gas prices have never been the same since 2008 when they went up through the roof. But people got used to it, and they're like, yeah, we could just keep on skimming more off the top, because even though gas prices are still insanely expensive and it never was the same since, at least it's cheaper than it used to be, right? And they're going to do the same thing for memory. Mark my words. Tech is in a really bad place right now, like everything else in the world. And if you didn't get that PC purchase that you wanted to get, the RAM or whatever other components and storage too is going up in price as well. And if you need it, buckle up. Your wallet's going to be on fire. This is Rich of Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one.